Bitcoin is close to becoming worthless.
Let's go. Now, what's the Bitcoin?
Bitcoin's like rat poison.
Yeah. Oh,
The greatest scam in history.
let's get it.
Bitcoin will go to fucking zero.
Yeah.
Alright, you ungovernable misfits. I'm your host, Max. Everybody knows that Bitcoin is useless, worthless, and doomed to fail. But what if everyone's wrong? What if it's the system that is doomed to fail? Join me as I speak to some of the brightest people in the space and slither to the deepest, darkest depths of the Bitcoin rabbit hole. Welcome back to Bitcoin Monthly, the show you need if you want to keep up to date with all of the developments in Bitcoin, the things that matter outside of the price and the noise and the bullshit. If you want to know about software updates, you want to know how to use the tools, keep yourself private and secure, this is the show for you. If you've been listening for a while and you enjoy the show, we would really appreciate it if you can share this with friends and family who might be starting to use Bitcoin and help them avoid all the bullshit out there. Before we start, I want to thank everyone who's been sending in boosts. It really is incredible to see how this is growing. I think 70 or 80% of our listeners are now listening on Podcasting 2.0 apps, which is incredible. And every time we get streamed some sats or get sent in a boost or a question, we really do appreciate it. I also want to thank all of the lightning disrespecters. Some of you will not use Podcasting 2.0, you will not use lightning, but you are sending in Paynim boosts. That is very much appreciated, so thank you to all of you. And everyone who's been buying the clothing, buying the artwork, and sharing this show with friends and family. It all really helps. Finally, I want to say a huge thank you to Foundation Devices. Foundation Devices help keep this show running, and they do things properly. Everything they do is fully open source. Their hardware is absolutely beautiful, and it is fuckwit resistant. I use this all the time. I have no issues with it. I don't manage to break it like everything else. It is piss easy to use. And that's what you want from your hardware. You don't want to be worrying, getting scared, and making mistakes with your life savings. You can use their companion app, Envoy, which makes labeling very simple. You can do backups that are encrypted, so you keep all of your labels, or you can use this with Sparrow. It really is the best hardware out there, and if you are scared to do this by yourself, you can go to any of the guides out there that make it very simple. They have them all on the website as well. And if even that is too much for you, you can pay an extra $99 and you can have Bitcoin Q&A himself hold your hand and walk you through the process. Check them out at foundationdevices.com and use the code UNGOVERNABLE. Morning, mate. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. Coffee in hand. It's Friday. It's quite hot in terms of UK standards. All is well with the world. How about yourself?
It is hot. I was sweating last night.
You know why that is, don't you?
Why? Go on. Because I'm fat.
Yeah, FFC.
You bastard.
Any FFC updates?
Going strong is all I can say, mate.
The eating or the training?
No, definitely not training. Just like the progression of just how fat I am. You have the gut that goes at the front, and then underneath the rib cage, if you're really doing well, you get like a nice crease. Do you know the one I mean?
Okay. I can't say I do.
Under the rib cage, like a, not quite a fat fold, but like a crease where you're like, oh, if I go much further, that's going to start going into a roll. I'm at that stage now. But what I can tell you is there is a plan.
Well, that's a start.
And I'm about to have a lot more time and a lot less money. And one of the things I'm going to be spending my time on is training. You just wait and see, mate.
Glad to hear it. I look forward to the next time we meet up for some beers and you walk in looking like the Hulk.
Can't get through the door. Have to go in sideways.
Well, you've got that problem now, to be fair.
Yeah.
What else is new then, mate? I believe you've been dabbling with some lightning stuff again.
I have.
How's that been?
Yeah, it's been quite good. I've been running C Lightning on my Start 9, linked it up to Zeus, and it's been incredibly slick. It's been working beautifully. I've had a couple of payments failed a couple of days ago, but I think that was just that they were large payments and whatever, something didn't work. And then what I did is just halve the payment size and just did it twice, and that worked flawlessly. Pretty good on my own Lightning node setup. Really happy with Start 9, really happy with C Lightning, and really happy with Zeus. On our stuff for the show, Lightning has been an absolute fucking horror show. Jordan, bless him, has spent hours and hours and hours and hours trying to fix it. We've realised that about half the boosts that people send us just don't come through. They either don't come through at all, they come through but someone does 100,000 stat boost and only 60 comes through. It shows in one part of Fountain that it's 68, in another part that it's 60, in another part that it's 100, but I don't get any sats. It's a complete fucking mess. It messes up the charts and all that kind of stuff as well. And it's incredibly frustrating. So thank you, Jordan, for all you're working on. But there are times, again, where my love for Lightning, well, it's just not there, mate.
Yeah, I think, well, two comments on that. Number one, shout out once again to Jordan. He is very much the unsung hero of, well, all of the shows on Ungovernable Misfits, right? He's a fucking legend, just tirelessly working away in the background, as well as holding down, I presume, a family, I don't know, and a full-time job as well.
He's an extremely busy man. I don't know how he does it.
So, yeah, he's a legend. And the other comment about the boost and stuff, I guess, is, yeah, I agree, Lightning can be a complete nightmare sometimes. But the problem with that is, as well, is that there's so many moving parts trying to navigate what the cause of the issue is. Like, is it the sender's wallet? Is it the where you're hosting the podcast? Is it the receiving wallet? Is it Fountain? Is it like there's quite a lot of things to try and pinpoint that, and they're all run by different people and different time zones.
Everyone blames each other.
And... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like that Spider-Man meme.
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating, especially because we're trying to lean so heavily into the podcasting 2.0 stuff. Been working really hard on trying to refine it and make it fun and make it interesting for listeners, and done everything that we can. And then we're like, hang on a minute, fuck me, we're missing like half our boosts here. We'll get on top of it, hopefully. The Paynim stuff still works flawlessly. The boost that people send just directly to our Albi wallet work flawlessly. It seems to only be the podcasting 2.0 stuff. We'll work it out.
Look forward to hearing next month that it's all working correctly, fingers crossed. Tangential to that, speaking of Fountain, I've been testing a beta version of their app in the last week or so. Get ready for Max to roll his eyes, listeners. It has like Nostr integration.
I didn't roll my eyes.
Oh, okay. More on the Nostr stuff later, by the way.
Okay.
Basically, they're moving to a place where all of their social interactions, so comments and boosts or zaps, whatever you want to call it, stuff is all kind of Nostr related. You have like a Fountain feed within the app so that anytime anybody interacts with any kind of special type of Nostr event, which essentially like mentions or contains a Fountain link or a Wavelake link or any of the Nostr mishmash of music stuff, is all kind of curated into a single feed, so you can continue to get the benefits of kind of that social discovery that Fountain's already really great at by stuff like, you know, the baller boost and things like that.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of leaning into that a bit more and just leveraging the Nostr network and your existing social graph as well. So that's pretty cool. I've been enjoying getting to grips with that. The problem is at the moment, it's kind of like in a bit of a sandbox where only the people with the Nostr beta version of the app will see my interactions through that app, and then everybody else that's on the original Fountain app, it's kind of a bit disjointed. And I know obviously that's a product of, you know, it being a beta, but I look forward to it being a main release so that everybody can benefit from that sort of stuff.
It sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. I'm one of the biggest things about Nostr is like the social graph, and that you can take that everywhere with you, and adding that into a podcast app is like a perfect harmony for me and aids that discovery. So yeah, it seems to be working really well. So shout out to Oscar and the guys over at Fountain, doing a good job.
Yeah, I will be actually leaning into Nostr a little bit. I slag it off a lot just because, I don't know, partly because it's fun, because it annoys people, and then partly I just haven't had time. But like I say, more time coming. So I think I'm going to lean into it a little bit more. And the other thing I'm going to be leaning into, which I know you've been running, is one of these bit axes.
Oh, yes. I was listening to you and John only yesterday, funny enough, and you were sounded a little bit upset that you no longer have any hash rate and that you wanted to join the big leagues with, maybe 1 or 2 terahashes, and that you're going to get a bit axe. So excited to have you join the gods.
I got a message yesterday. I was like, I need to get one of these. And Altair messaged me like, look, you need a bit axe, play with one, we're sending you one. So
nice.
I'll be learning how to use it, setting it all up, like you say, joining the big leagues, and then I'll be shilling them and saying thank you very much for sending me one out.
Point it towards Ocean?
Of course. Where else would you point it?
That's a good point.
You've got to do your filtering, mate. You've got to do your filtering.
For real though, I presume you're going to use public pool, are you? Or maybe CK pool?
I'm not sure which one I'm going to do yet. I need to do some research, but it will be a lottery pool for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's no point otherwise. But it's going to be fun. I'm going to have a play around. Can you imagine if one of us wins?
I think it's only a matter of time. Like if you work out the maths, the more and more of these that get flooded onto the market, like it will happen eventually.
It will do. I wonder if it's going to be someone we know and they suddenly just drop off the map.
Yeah, it's like, BlackCoffee's gone quiet lately.
Hopefully someone we know and love wins.
Couple of bits of AOB for me before we get into the boosts. Nothing foundation related at the moment. We have been very much heads down cramming for the Nashville conference, which is coming up just next week. I fly out on Wednesday morning. So looking forward to that one. And obviously I don't know whether this show is going to be out before then. Hopefully it will. If you're in town, we will have a booth, so please do come and say hello and we can gossip about Max when he's not there.
You're such a jet setter. I always get a bit jealous.
Yeah, I'm always in the bad books when I go to the wife and say, do you know what? Work are making me go to Nashville again.
Yeah, oh no. What a hardship.
I've got to go to a hotel and have a double bed to myself. Oh no.
Yeah, those fuckers, they're not even letting me fly first like they usually do. It's business. I mean, for God's sake.
Enough, I did wind her up to say that I'd been booked onto business class, which I haven't, by the way.
No, you're flying with the baggage.
Yeah, I strung her along for a couple of days. She was livid.
I bet she was. Have you ever seen what it's like in first class?
I've walked through a few times because some planes, if you get on right at the front, you have to walk through, don't you? It's like a little bit of torture. It's like, look, paupers, this is what you could have had. And then you get the dirty looks from all the people that in first class that have obviously got on the plane first, and they're like looking at all the filth walk past.
Well, to be fair, you would be like, hang on a minute, I've paid for the seat. Why is this scum sharing my air? What the fuck is going? If I'd spend 20 grand on a flight, I would be like, don't let this cunt walk past me.
That is a very good point. When you're dropping that sort of money, you kind of want to rub shoulders with the big wigs, don't you?
It's mental. A friend of mine just booked a first class ticket because they put everything on the credit card. They get loads of air miles. They're like, where can we go? And they had some sort of special deal where it was like 2 grand rather than like 20 or whatever it normally is to go to some fucking random place in America. They're just going just to do the first class. I'm like, well, do you even want to go there? Like, no, not really. I just want to go first class. Like flying there, don't really know what they're going to do there, and then flying back just so they can do first, just so they can experience it.
Wow, fair play. A little fun fact about Q&A for the listeners to learn, and I'm somewhat slightly embarrassed to mention it, but it is topical, so I feel like I'd mention it. One of my favourite pastimes, if I'm very, very bored, or generally when I'm having a shit and I just got some time to kill, one of the favourite types of YouTube videos that I like to watch is like reviews of first class plane seats.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like obviously you get loads of travel vloggers and stuff, and they go on like, this is the most expensive plane seat in the world. And they give you the grand tour and stuff, just so you can see how the other half live. As a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine.
They got like showers and fucking...
Mate, some of them have double beds in. Imagine being that rich that you'd happily just spend like £25,000 for an 8-hour flight. Well, my Bitax mine's that block. Maybe I'll...
Yeah, exactly. Until then, it's coach for you, and I'll be staying in England.
And rubbing shoulders with all the other FFCs.
Yeah.
One final bit of AOB, or 2 actually. Signal desktop. I know this is a Bitcoin podcast, but Signal, the kind of end-to-end encrypted messenger, is kind of quite prominent within our circles.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody went public with a pretty terrible vulnerability with the desktop version of the application in the last couple of weeks, or since we last recorded at least. The TLDR is that any of the Signal desktop applications, your chats are encrypted when they're stored locally, but the private key to decrypt all of those chats is kept in plain text on an easily accessible directory within your file system. So anybody that goes onto your computer can grab the private key, download all your chats, and then read all of your history. So needless to say, if you already use Signal on desktop, remove it, or make sure that you're comfortable with that kind of trade-off and nobody else can get into your computer, or just delete it and wait for them to fix that patch and just use it on mobile only, which is exactly what I've done.
Okay. Luckily, I was too lazy to put it on the desktop. But listening to that, it sounds less bad than what I'd assumed, because I'd seen it in a few of the messages and chats, and people were like, oh my God, this is fucking terrible. And obviously it is. But from how you just said it, I'm thinking, what type of cunt allows access to their fucking computer anyway? I'd never let anyone on my computer. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, the one that springs to mind for me is like, I'm going away next week. I'm going to go through border control. I'm going to have my work laptop with me, which I had Signal on. And, you know, as we all know, when you go through an airport, you have no rights and they can just
do what they want.
Do what they want, hold you for as long as they want, go through all of your shit. And, you know, I just don't want my Signal history to be read by US border agencies, even though
I completely get that.
All of their chats are pretty boring, but, you know, I just don't want that invasion of my privacy.
Yeah. I'd sort of assumed, okay, there's some sort of vulnerability where just anyone can get access. Like,
no, it's not remote.
Okay. Well, that is less bad, but it's still not great.
What's also not great is the way that Signal kind of approached the situation as well. They kind of really tried to downplay it as if it was not a big deal. Their literal business model, or their USP, is that we are an end-to-end encrypted chat, but we keep your private key in plain text. It's just complete bonkers.
As a non-technical user, I would think, like, that's fucking stupid. Like, what a massive oversight. Why would you ever consider doing that? Is there a technical reason that they've done that? Or is it just literally an oversight and they're like, there was easily a way that it could be encrypted, but they're just fucking retards?
My understanding is there is an easy solution for it. And basically, as soon as this came out, somebody had already made a pull request to Signal to fix it within like less than a day, I believe.
It's a bit embarrassing, isn't it? It's not like it's not like, oh, this is like a little Bitcoin single person company that's built something on their fucking, weekend or whatever. This is like, it's Signal. It's like a fucking huge business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, there may be a technical reason as to why they took the approach that they have done right now, where it's just in plain text. I'm sure that there's probably some logic to it, but there's been enough community uproar about this from both technical and non-technical people to make me understand, or help me understand, that this is easily fixable and shouldn't have been the case in the first place.
Okay.
That's it for my AOB, mate. If you want to hit the boosts.
Yeah, let's get on to the boosts. What do you want to do? I do one, you do one, or how are we doing it?
Yeah, let's alternate.
Okay. #Slutette, 106,102 sats. If I've previously exposed myself, ... my xpubs, to multiple nodes over the years, should I consider generating new keys and starting fresh in case these are now being tracked going forward? For example, if I had 10 xpubs and they are all scanned by a node, does that or could that tie them together? Love you boys, and then a little blue heart because she's a Smurf.
I was wondering why it was blue. You don't see the blue heart very often.
Have you seen her picture? She's pretty sexy.
I have not. Where would I find that on Fountain?
Yeah, if you go on Fountain and then just click on the profile like a stalky weirdo. Obviously she's blue, so it's a little bit weird, but she's an attractive lady. We appreciate you, #Slutette.
I also appreciate the subliminal message in the amount of sats as well. I don't know whether anybody else caught that. 6102. 106102. Very nice. That tells me that #Slutette is a freedom fighter or a privacy preserving individual to be able to make that reference. So
I would think so. Do you remember 6102 from back in the day?
I do indeed. That guy, person, group of people, girl, whoever it is, was part of the reason I'm still here today, I would say.
Yeah.
The stuff that they were putting out and the kind of presence that they had was awesome back in the day. It was one of my favourite follows. I used to love when they were going back and forth toe to toe on Twitter with like all the Wasabi crowd and stuff. It was because they always stayed so calm and measured and just factual. I wonder if the website's still up. I'm just going to check that now. Go on, carry on.
I miss them. I remember that was one of the ones where I got like a follow back, and I remember like really being like, oh my God, like it was like a little celebrity moment. I was like, they're fucking awesome. They just followed me back. I was so excited. And then I remember them leaving, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, it seems that the website is down. But that could be because of the... Have you seen the news this morning, by the way? This is very hot off the press about the Windows vulnerability that took like half of the planet down.
I saw you message about it, but it doesn't affect me, so I don't really care. I don't care about the other half of the planet.
So I don't know whether the 6102 website is down because of that, although knowing the very little I do about that person or entity, I can't see them being a Windows user.
I would highly doubt that. Well, whoever you are, wherever you are, we appreciate you.
Yes, sending up the bat signal for 6102. They are a legend. So back to Hashlotet to answer the question. If I had 10 XPubs and they're all scanned by the same node, does that or could that tie them together? Yes, absolutely. Anytime that you kind of query somebody else's node to get your balances, they could be logging that and tying those to your IP addresses if you're not using Tor. So yeah, absolutely. Should you consider generating new keys and starting fresh in case these are now being tracked going forward? Yeah, if privacy is paramount to you, then yes, absolutely. This is kind of applicable, and I don't know whether they're kind of subliminally referring to kind of the Samurai situation, but that's a kind of good real world example where you may have been a non-dojo user, and the way that the architecture worked there, if you just use the default Samurai node, is that it loaded your XPub so that it could serve you your balances. And obviously, since then, the Samurai service has been taken down, and we have no idea what was on the servers at the time and who's got access to them now. So yeah, it makes sense that if you're privacy conscious, to kind of discard that wallet, obviously empty the funds out and then start fresh. Ideally, with a wallet that's connected to your own node so that you can benefit from the benefits that brings as you move forward.
I think that obviously makes sense, and we've covered that. But I don't think, reading what she said here, it wouldn't be a Samurai server, because you're not going to probably have 10 separate XPubs connected. Well, because it has lots of XPubs in Samurai, but I assume they're talking about different wallets. So maybe what they're talking about is like they've tried different node implementations over the years. Maybe some you could be more confident that they're not tracking, or there's no sort of like shenanigans going on than others.
Yeah, it's possible. And also there's kind of a little bit of nuance here, is depending on the types of wallet and node that you've been connecting to. If you were using the default dojo, then it was like a whole account XPub that was sent up so that they could see the whole history and any future transactions. Mm-hmm. But if you use kind of an Electrum backend, the way that they work is they do it in batches of addresses, which has its pros and cons, but obviously it's a pro from a privacy perspective. So it may be that, you might have connected to, I don't know, a default Electrum server somewhere and queried 20 addresses, which that server would be able to cluster together, but it wouldn't mean that every single address within that account would then be correlated going forward, because the server's only learned about the first 20 addresses, as an example.
Got you. So if someone they've had 5 or 6 different node implementations, and they've connected all their different wallets. They've got like a blue wallet, they've got a passport, they've got a cold card, they've got a seed sign, they've got a few different devices, they've got a few different wallets that they use for different things, and they've connected them all to one node using Sparrow or something like that to interact with them. And they've done that, and then they've changed nodes because whatever, it's died, or they've decided to try something different, and they keep doing that. Are there certain node packages that would potentially then link all of those separate devices and wallets together?
So in this scenario, is the user connecting to their own node that they're running?
Yeah. So like they're connecting to their own node. This is not probably even her question. I'm just now like going down the rabbit hole. Let's say they're running a Tanto, and then they're running an Umbrel, and they're running, whatever, a load of different stuff. Are there certain packages where things are less private, and that there's a way that, they've got 10 different XPubs, let's say one's from a wallet on their phone and different hardware wallets and blah, blah, blah. They connect them all together to their own node. Is there a way that it then links, okay, this user now is connected to all these 10 wallets?
No, not at all. So if they've only ever connected their own node, even if it was like 6 months on a Start9, 6 months on a Ronin Dojo, 6 months on a Raspberry Blitz, then you're good. Like, you've only ever queried your own hardware and your own software.
Final question then, linking it back to the Samurai thing. If someone was in that situation, always run their own node, but they used Samurai, they decide, okay, I need to get my funds back. They've now pulled that XPub into Sparrow, which is connected to their own node with all their other XPubs. Does that now create a link where whoever has control of that server would go, okay, this person is now connected? Do you see what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah. And in that scenario, like, if privacy is kind of important to you, then the ideal thing to do would just be discard that wallet, send all the funds out, and start fresh. When I say a new wallet, I mean it could be another Samurai wallet or another Sparrow wallet. I just mean a new seed.
Okay, thanks for the question.
Yeah, thanks, Hashlatet. Late stage hodl boosted with 31,113 sats. Nice little palindrome there. And he said Bitcoin logo. That was it. Thanks, late stage hodl.
Yeah, thank you. John, 21,000 sats. Home mining, a hobby, like golf, but not shit.
As a golf fanatic,
Are you a golfer?
I do play golf, yeah. Infrequently now that I've got a kid and multiple other hobbies, but I used to play quite a lot when I was in my early 20s. Yeah, very regularly.
Are you any good, or?
Not really. Like, for the golfers out there, I was like a 14 handicap. I'm nowhere near that
good.
now, obviously.
14's pretty good, mate.
Yeah, I was all right. I could get around the course.
Well, thank you, John.
Oh, it's me. Rod Palmer Huddle boosted with 15,069 sats. Nice. And he boosted with a clapping hands emoji.
Is he clapping his hands or is he palming a rod? Hard to know with this guy.
Yeah, I heard the skiing comment on the mining show. I did chuckle out loud at that one.
Rev Huddle, 12,121 sats. My whole lifestyle is a Rube Goldberg machine. Thanks for the detailed answer.
I very much resonate with that one as well.
Yeah.
8 Mithrandir, 7,777 sats. Pretend to be legal experts and tell me how SCOTUS overturning the Chevron defense will help us free samurai. Okay, so 8 Mithrandir, I have a confession that I only just looked into what most of those words mean this morning. Do you know what SCOTUS means? I presume it's an abbreviation, and the Americans are going to be screaming at the speakers right now. But we're two Brits, and we have enough of our bullshit politics to worry about.
Yeah, no idea.
Let's go on a journey, shall we? Let's see what SCOTUS means. Oh, Supreme Court of the United States. That makes a lot of sense. So the Chevron defense. Yeah, there's been a couple of Bitcoiners talking about this and saying that it has kind of some ramifications and that it's quite a big deal. So here's a quick TLDR that I shamelessly searched, and then we'll see if we can apply that to the samurai defense as 8 Mithrandir's question. The Chevron doctrine's overturning makes a significant shift in the balance of power between agencies and courts. The impact will be felt across various regulatory areas, potentially leading to increased uncertainty and litigation. So the key implications for this one, according to my shameless search, is that courts will now have to closely examine agency decisions, leading to more challenges and reversals. Agencies will have less flexibility in interpreting laws as courts will be more inclined to intervene. I think that's the one that most of the Bitcoiners that have kind of followed this bit is kind of important, is that overturning the Chevron case, whatever the details of that were, I'm not entirely sure. The ramifications are that now federal agencies can't just make shit up as they go along, or they'll have a more difficult time of making shit up as they go along, which, as we know, they've kind of just done with the samurai case, where they've just thrown a lot of shit at the wall and hope that something sticks, even though, like I say, they made an interpretation of some regulations and laws that, everybody else on the planet seems to have a different interpretation of. So I think that's the bit that most Bitcoiners are getting a little bit bullish on, is that there's now a court precedent to say that, yes, 3-letter agency, you can't just run around and go and do what the fuck you want because you feel like you're a powerful entity. The courts now have a bit more power, or a bit more court precedents, to kind of challenge that and overturn these types of things. as is always the case with law, once you get one kind of ruling in a certain direction, any future cases will then use that as precedents to kind of reference to say, look, this is a similar situation that was in the court 5 years ago, and this is what this judge said. We use this as kind of steering our decision in this case. So that's my very brief and loose understanding of what's gone on here. And I guess, yes, you could probably loosely apply that to the Samurai case. Whether or not this Chevron decision is kind of too new and too close to be able to be used effectively as a mitigating circumstance or using the defense for the Samurai case, I don't know. I'm clearly not a lawyer, and I've only learned about the details.
Well, no, you've said pretend to be legal experts, so now technically you are.
Fair enough. Okay. I think in the room, maybe I am the legal expert.
I would say so. Yeah.
But yeah, so 8 Mithrandir, I hope that kind of gives you a little bit, but it's kind of stating the obvious, I guess. But yeah, any thoughts?
Not really, mate. I don't know what to think about anything legal. I always just feel they'll just do whatever they want and it will go whatever way they want. But we'll see.
Indeed.
Nathan Day, 5,000 sats. Nostr is PGP for the masses.
He's right.
Is he right?
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, Nathan. Nice guy. I met him when I was in a place. I'm not going to dox, but a place. And yeah, good guy.
Yeah, I've met Nathan a couple of times. Great guy. He's actually got a couple of bit axes that he mines using solar power. Pretty cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's got this like pimped out overlanding vehicle, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's apocalypse vehicle.
Yeah. Like if the zombies come to take over the world, I'm giving him a ring.
He'll be surviving. No one else.
Yeah.
Is it PGP for the masses?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I forgot about that question. Well, it's not really a question. It's a statement. But yeah, it is. You know, Nostr at its core is just signed messages. The DMs are encrypted. So yeah, it's just PGP messages with a nice user interface around it. And obviously a network built on top of it. So yeah.
All right, Nathan and Ben Gunn and fucking Q and every other fuck who messages me all the time about how great Nostr is. I'm going to start looking into it.
Come join us. It's funny you should mention Mr. Gunn because Nathan Day boosted a second time, also for 5,000 sats, and said that I purple pilled Gunn. Blame me, then get yourself on Nostr. And yes, he's one of the most highly regarded people I've ever met. Can confirm.
He's absolutely right. What a fucking weird guy.
Hi,
we
Ben,
love you, Ben.
If you're out there, by the way. Yeah, we need to share a beer again sometime.
Somewhere in the forest, fucking around.
No doubt. He
just sits there, just has a little picnic, and then you're like, oh, what are you up to? But, felling trees, mate. It's fucking carnage. Got these machines everywhere. Blah, blah, blah. It's all a lie. He's just sat there having a little sandwich.
Just got a hut in the forest.
Solex, 5,000 sats. Ha! Just boosting sats about pi. Worth in dirty dollars at this moment. Keep on rocking the show, guys. Strong arm. Not sure what that means, if I'm honest.
No, me neither. But speaking of Solex,
yeah,
everybody, if you're listening to this, once you finish listening to this show, please go back and listen to the latest Action News to hear Max's impression of Solex is biblical.
Definitely go back and listen, but what a shit show that was.
I could hear you squirming immediately as soon as John said it, and I'm so glad that he held your feet to the fire and made you do it.
He does this sort of stuff often. You know, I gave it my best shot, and it's difficult because John's very good with impressions and singing and all this kind of stuff, you know? So it makes me look even worse. But yeah, go back and listen and laugh and take the piss out of me. That's what I'm here for.
Bon boosted with 3,456 sats, and he sent a lightning bolt emoji.
Second breakfast, 3,000 sats. Beers. Maybe that is the second breakfast. What a breakfast.
Brother Abel sent 780 sats and said, another excellent episode, brothers, Max and Q&A. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Turns out I was wrong about the VPN and that the email went to my spam. Apologies for the misunderstanding. Thank you for making such a great donation to Samurai. Thank you for listening and boosting.
B-Glass, no note.
Pies, our pull-up guru, boosted with 420 sats. I would be honoured to do prison time with you. Use twos. Sounds like a Scouser.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go. I'm ungovernable mofos.
Thank you, Pies, as well, for your baller boost yesterday. We didn't receive all of it. We're going to hunt down why, but we appreciate you. He did 100,000 sat boost, or attempted to. So thank you very much, mate. I really do appreciate that. Cyborg, 100 sats, no note. I think we should do the outside fountain boosts later on in the show. I think we jump into update releases.
Sounds good to me. This is where the clicking starts, so later, Max, in the editing room, I apologise for what's about to come.
Excellent.
Blue Wallet version 6.6.8 has been released with full Bit47 support and send to silent payment addresses. So good to see. For the last maybe year or so, Blue Wallet has only been able to send to Bit47 reusable payment codes, but now it can receive to them. No, it was the other way around. It could receive, but now it can send as well. So it has the complete implementation. So if you are going to boost the show using Bit47 and for some bizarre reason you don't like using Sparrow or Samurai, then you can now boost the show from Blue Wallet as well.
Very nice. It's good to see that because I think Blue Wallet, as far as I can see, is still pretty heavily used.
Yeah, it seems to remain as the go-to kind of multifunctional wallet for kind of new users and more experienced users. And I think that's because it kind of does most things. I know they've removed Lightning now, but it talks to, a lot of the hardware wallets. It gives you simple watch-only wallets. You can connect it to your Lightning node if you run your own one. So it is quite multifunctional. And obviously, it's got that Lindy effect. It's been around for a long time. It's built up a pretty good reputation. So, Oh, and it's cross-platform, including desktop as well. And you can also send to silent payment addresses now as well, which is pretty cool. So, been a bit of a hot topic in the last couple of months worth of shows silent payments have. So good to see more wallets starting to support that as well.
Definitely.
Stack Duo version 1.2 has been released with Frost Multisig, Tor support, RBF, and Child Pays for Parent. So we talked at length about this coming to the main Stack wallet on last month's show. So this is just basically it's been released into Stack Duo, which is their version or their slimmed down version that only supports Bitcoin and Monero as well. So good to see that they're keeping that wallet updated because I know that's quite popular among the kind of Bitcoin/Monero maximalists. Big release, this one. Phoenix 2.3.1. Well, they're also up to 2.3.3 and 2.3.4 now in the last kind of couple of days. I'll cover them all off as one. Phoenix has added support for Bolt 12 reusable payment codes. So again, been a hot topic, Bolt 12. We've been kind of waiting for this for what feels like an absolute eternity. And it's now been added to arguably the most well-liked and most used non-custodial Lightning solution out there, which is the Phoenix wallet. So what this means now is that within Phoenix, once you've updated to this version, if you hit receive, you can now, as well as generating a traditional Bolt 11 Lightning invoice where you can kind of encode, pay me this amount of sats. You can also have a static QR code and a static Bolt 12 offer, they're called, which is basically just a string that looks a little bit like a Lightning invoice that you can then go and post wherever you want, and people can pay to you over the Lightning network without having to directly interact with you. All they need to do is scan your QR code or paste in your reusable payment code, which is just a string of letters and numbers. And then the magic underneath that helps Bolt 12 work will be able to contact your node and pay you. So this is huge in terms of usability.
In theory, though, isn't it? Because we tried doing it and it didn't fucking work.
Well, yeah, it works flawlessly in Phoenix. You're talking about us doing it self-hosted with Core Lightning on Start9. So we're kind of doing it in the much more sovereign way. Obviously, Phoenix, we've talked about the trade-offs of Phoenix lots and lots on this podcast, and privacy being the main one. But obviously, one of the main pros of Phoenix, you do have a semi-trusted relationship with them. They can't steal your sats, but they know everything that goes on in the app. They see all your incoming payments, obviously, and they see where all your payments are going. So it's not the most private option, but they do all of the heavy lifting for you and just let you worry about the custody side of things. And what that means is that shit just works. Like your payments go through because they're a well-connected node, and you can do fancy shit like Bolt 12 without having to be a developer or willing to run your own node. So this is a big win for me in terms of like usability and Lightning nodes. Lightning nodes on phones, should I say.
Very good.
And as part of the subsequent release, they now also support BIP353 DNS addresses. So what this is basically, so DNS is domain name services. Basically just you have a domain and you host it somewhere like Namecheap or something like that. You can now go into your Namecheap dashboard as an example, enter a little record that kind of gives you can set yourself a username. So it could be Q&A and then at your domain. So mine would be Q&A@bitcoiner.guide, and then the domain name server will resolve that into your Bolt 12 reusable payment code. So any compatible wallets now, of which there are not that many at the moment, can basically just say, hey, Q&A, I need to pay you back for lunch. Instead of me going, okay, here's an address, I could just go, okay, here's my reusable payment code. Now, I don't even need to do that. I can just say, oh yeah, just go and pay. If you just type in Q&A@bitcoiner.guide, all the magic underneath will resolve that. You'll find my reusable payment code, and then you can just send some sats to it. Very cool, and is moving us much more into a world, or much closer to a world, where we are kind of getting more normie friendly, where it's like the Venmo or the Revolut experience, isn't it? You have usernames, and if you want to pay your friend back, you just click on their face and just send them money. Like, you can almost do this with Phoenix now because they have a contact list as well. You can keep all this stuff locally on the app so that you can just pay Max at ungovernablemisfits.com rather than having to fuck around with lightning invoices and all that kind of crap. There is a trade-off, of course. Obviously, whilst you can, in air quotes, own a domain, you never truly own the domain because it's under the control of Namecheap, for example. So if you're going to be doing large payments, I wouldn't advise you to be like, yep, pay me at Q&A@bitcoiner.guide, because there is a theoretical attack where the domain name host could alter the records and it might not end up in your Phoenix wallet or your Lightning node where your Bolt 12 kind of offer is pointed at, because they have the power and the authority to kind of change any of those records should they see fit. Wouldn't be a very good thing to do for their business model, but it's a theoretical attack that could take place. So always worthwhile being cognizant of the trade-offs of this sort of stuff. Okay, next on the list, not something I would usually talk about, but I just thought it was really cool. There's been a release called Satonomics or Satonomics, which is a free and open source Bitcoin-only alternative to Glassnode. So I don't know whether you've used Glassnode much, Max, or well, you probably haven't because it costs a fortune. I know I haven't.
Yeah, I have not.
It's kind of like a Bitcoin kind of dashboard where you can go and look at all things Bitcoin related, look at historical price.
Is it Checkmate who's involved in that, isn't it?
I don't know who's behind it. I'm just scanning through the No Bullshit Bitcoin announcement, but not seeing any names. Yeah, not sure who's behind it, but It's basically just a free and open source version of Glassnode where you can go and query like all types of Bitcoin stats and historical data, but done in a free and open source way. So just wanted to give it a shout out. It's probably not something I'll use all that much, but I know some people are really into this side of things. And I'll probably don't have the appetite to pay for a Glassnode subscription, which is completely understandable. So go and check it out at satonomics.xyz. And if you do find it useful, I'm sure there's probably a donate button on the website to contribute back to this project, because I'm sure this wasn't an easy thing to build because there's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
Okay, Robosats version 6.0.6.3 alpha has been released, and you can now add new coordinators manually. They've also polished up the support for core Lightning coordinators as well, and they've also released with a Tor-based notification service, which I'm yet to test out, but it seems pretty cool, or at least the concept of it does. I'm skeptical as to how well it would work over the Tor network, but basically, if I interpret it correctly, what it means is that you don't have to have Google services or rely on them for kind of push notifications and stuff. They seem to have come up with a way to be able to do that over the Tor network. So to put this into the Robosats context, obviously, if you're buying or selling, you need to be notified or know about when your trade partner does a certain thing, because that will mean that you'll have to take the appropriate action, i.e., sending fiat or, giving your, Revolut username to be paid or that sort of stuff. So they found out of a way to kind of do this within the Tor network or leveraging the Tor network. So I will be giving that one a test to see how it works. And I presume it's only over for the mobile application, of course, because obviously the other way to interact with Robosats is just via the Tor browser where you've got the browser open. So I presume you wouldn't need a notification there anyway. So be interested to see how well that works, and if it is robust, I would imagine, or I could see a place where more Bitcoin wallets might kind of look to leverage something like this. Nunchuk Mobile version 1.9.47 and Desktop v 1.9.35 have been released with replace assisted multisig keys. So this release is pretty cool. They did a bit of a blog post with this. The kind of TLDR is that when you have a multisig wallet, it could be a 2 or 3, and something bad happens and you need to rotate out one of those keys because it's lost or the seed might be compromised or something like that. That could be a bit of an upheaval. You've essentially got to obviously get a new key or a seed, and then move all of your funds from the old wallet, create the new wallet with the new key and the 2 old keys, and then send all of your funds over. And obviously that has privacy implications, and it's just a bit of a fucking headache, if I'm being honest, and a scary experience if you're kind of used to or comfortable with the existing 3 keys. So they've kind of put a really polished way to kind of do all of this in a semi-automated way within the application. So they give you like a guided move from, the old key set to the new key set with the new seed in there, and then they automatically send funds from one to the other. So it's kind of just removing all of the, not all, but some of the headache points as part of that, moving from wallet 1 to wallet 2. They are very open and honest about the little trade-off here is that when they do that automated send, which I believe you can opt out of, they kind of send everything in one transaction. So if you've got wonderful kind of UTXO management and everything's labeled and separated and stuff within the first wallet that you've lost the key for, don't use this if you're worried about the privacy of that, because it's going to merge them all together. They are cognizant of that, and they said that they're going to have an alternative solution where people can opt to pay more fees to create smaller transactions to maintain their privacy as well. And I presume that they'll do that also in an automated way once the user has kind of accepted the fact that it's going to cost them more in fees.
Yeah, makes sense, because there's 2 types of people. Some will just go, don't care, just want it to be the cheapest, and then others will care about their privacy. So that's good. Good to have the options.
So obviously the latter part is not available yet, but they've already kind of alluded to the fact that it's coming soon, or they've started work on it at least. Next up, one that we don't talk about a lot is fully noded. Kind of flies under the radar. This is kind of, I guess you could call it almost like a Zeus type wallet, where you talk directly, well, in the fully noded scenario, you talk directly to a Bitcoin Core node, but you can also talk to Lightning nodes as well. It's kind of like a remote control app that can also manage wallets. So very similar to the way that Zeus kind of operates, although fully noded, I believe, doesn't have an LSP model like Zeus does, but think of it in that sort of framework. They have, I've been working with the lead developer over there over the course of the last couple of weeks, and they've added support for QR code-based signers. So you can now, if you're a fully noded user, you can now use your passport as part of your fully noded setup, and you can have your watch-only wallets looked after within your fully noded application as well. I believe they have a desktop app as well, which I haven't tested. So if anybody does use fully noded on desktop with passport, please let me know if it works or not. Next up, speaking of Zeus, they have released a main release version 0.8.5 and also a public beta version of 0.9. Won't go into too many of the details because we talked about this at length last time, but it's now a public beta. So if you want to go and get your hands on the latest and greatest, you can do that. The headline stuff, just as a reminder, if you didn't listen to last month's show, you can purchase channels in advance. Good for when taking advantage of low fee environments like we have now. New user interfaces for core Lightning users, so you can use CLN REST, which is what you and I now use. And you can now connect hardware wallets to craft on-chain transactions, open and close channels directly to and from all of the popular hardware wallets. Passport, Seed Signer, Crux, Keystone, Pro3, Coldcard Q, and many others, it says.
It's very slick.
It's very much becoming a literal Swiss Army knife wallet. Not sure that's a weird terminology, but yeah, you know what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
It's. I'm a huge fan of it. I've now got my passport connected. I've got both of my Lightning nodes connected. I've got the option, if I become unstuck, to use the LSP for if there's problems with both of my nodes at the same time, which, cross my heart, never happens. But it's nice to have that option there as well. Becoming a really great all-in-one wallet. Okay, next on the list, Bitcoin Keeper version 1.2.10. They now have a companion desktop version of the application, which is pretty cool. It looks like it's for Apple fanboys only at the moment. Yeah, Windows and Is that Snartoshi?
Yeah. He's recovered. He just thought he'd get involved.
Hello,
Say
mate.
hello.
He's all right now, is he?
Yeah, I was fucking worried. Really worried. But he's all good.
Good. Glad to hear it.
Right. Thanks, mate. Thanks for your input.
Cheers, Snartoshi. Take it easy, mate. Yeah, so keep a desktop app. Very cool. Haven't tried it. Mac only for now. Windows and Linux users coming soon. Good to see that they are continuing to iterate there. That's all of the software updates, or the ones that we're interested in at least. Going to quickly whiz through the news, mate, because we do have a hard stop coming up and we've got some questions to get through. But there is definitely some stuff here that if you've been living in a cave that you should know about. First and foremost, Julian Assange has finally been freed. after 14 years in persecution. Really great to see. He had to plead guilty to one count of, what did they call it? Trying to find quickly the...
On count of truth.
Yeah, telling the truth. A single charge of breaching US espionage law by conspiring to obtain and disclose classified national defense documents. Or if you translate that, it means...
Being a grass.
Yeah. But the good type of grass.
The good type of grass, yeah.
Yeah. So awesome to see him reunited with his wife and back home. He was sentenced to 62 months of time, which obviously he's clearly already well served. So he's back at home in Australia now. Great to see. Next up, Mt. Gox has finally started Bitcoin repayments after a decade-long wait. Haven't really got much more to say about that. Obviously, the chart boys have been bracing themselves for the impending dump, and they've been, oh no, Germany sold all their coins, and now Mt. Gox is going to do it as well.
Yeah, we'll see. Stuff will happen.
If you're a Mt. Gox creditor, congrats. Well done for hodling so long, even though you didn't have a choice. TDev has been permitted to live in Portugal while the Samurai case proceeds. I believe he's on tag and had to post a $3 million bond. But good that they've at least given him the opportunity to return to where he wanted to be whilst the case is proceeding. Not sure on the next dates to keep an eye out for in that calendar. Yes, I do. The case will proceed on September the 10th at 12 p.m. Eastern time. So I presume TDev will be flying back across. So hope all goes well. And just as a reminder, if you want to donate to the Defence Fund, p2prights.org. Mempool Accelerator is now live. They have now released their new product. Good to see that they've now got a kind of money-making business, because I'm a big fan of the team and obviously of the service. TLDR here is that if you've got a transaction stuck and you didn't use RBF because you're an idiot, then you can now pay Mempool to be like a broker with, obviously they've got friends in the mining industry. They'll give you a fee to kind of get your transaction included into the next block. And if one of their partners does it, you will obviously pay that fee, which I believe you can do over the Lightning Network, which makes a lot of sense.
Nice.
Yeah, you get your transaction into the next block and the miner gets a kind of out-of-band payment. So cool to see. I've actually seen it in action and it's pretty cool. They've got some awesome kind of animations and things like that when your transaction is kind of part of the accelerator process. It's kind of appeals to your kind of Neanderthal flashy lights are good type thing. So good to see. Shout out to the Mempool team. And finally, we saved the best till last. Craig Wright has been referred to UK prosecutors for consideration of perjury and forgery charges. So he fucked around, he lost, and he found out. The best part of all of this is that the judge forced him to change his website for 6 months with a legal notice that declares that he is not Satoshi Nakamoto, which I thought is just absolutely fantastic.
That is amazing. Good to see.
Yeah, if you want to read it for yourself, just go to craigwright.net and rejoice. And UK Bitcoiners can now obtain the Bitcoin white paper from bitcoin.org. The person that run that, or the NIM Cobra, was forced to remove it from the UK site as part of all of this court shenanigans. Obviously, now that Craig Wright's been found out to be not Satoshi Nakamoto.
A lying little cunt.
That's a much better way to phrase it, actually. Yes. Yeah. Not that UK Bitcoiners weren't unable to get the Bitcoin PDF, but yeah, now they can get it from the quote-unquote official source. That's it for the news, mate. Whistle Stop Tour. Do you want to hit the boost that came from Outside of Fountain?
Outside of Fountain boosts. One from Breeze from Rot Elephant with no note. Chad Farrow, 10,000 sats. Podverse. I was streaming you guys sats, but didn't realize my wallet ran out. So here's a boost to make up for it. Thank you, Chad Farrow. We appreciate you. And again, 3,333 sats from Podverse with no note. Dirt Chorse?
I was waiting for that one.
Dirt Chorse, 500 sats from Podverse with no note, and Anonymous with 1,000 sats from Podverse, again with no note. We appreciate you all. Thank you very much.
We do indeed, yeah. Thanks for getting involved, guys. Speaking of getting involved, we have a good swathe of questions from our lovely friends and listeners on Twitter and Nostr.
Bert from Twitter, trade-offs between Umbral, Start9, Ronin Dojo, etc.
So first off, Bert is Bert de Groot from Bitcoin Brabham.
He is.
Who is a fucking legend, by the way.
He is. We love Bert.
If you need any kind of Bitcoin hardware and you're based in the EU, make him your first port of call.
Or flowers.
He's awesome.
If you need flowers, he can sort you out as well.
Yeah, doesn't he do mining in greenhouses or something like that and using the heat?
If people go back in the archive of Ungovernable Misfits, you'll find an interview I did with John with him on the Pleb Miner month, where we did a whole month, and also I did a one-on-one interview with him. But yeah, he goes all around the Netherlands finding people with greenhouses, big industrial greenhouses, where they're growing flowers, and then he changes their heating systems to miners and sets them up with that, does it for himself as well, and then sells the flowers to people for Bitcoin and has them delivered to people for Bitcoin. He sells hardware, he educates people. He's a brilliant guy.
And he's really tall and good looking as well. I'm starting to dislike him.
Yeah, like me.
You're not that tall.
All good looking.
So back to his question, trade-offs between Umbrel, Start9 and Ronin Dojo. This deserves a podcast in itself. Okay, off the top of my head, Umbrel, beautiful UI, not truly free and open source. So if that's important to you, maybe look elsewhere, but very easy to use. Start9, they sell plug and play hardware, which obviously Umbrel do as well. But Start9 kind of sell it on beefier, in my opinion, hardware as well, so you can really spec up your node if you want to be a bit of a baller like Max. Start9 MIT license, truly free and open source. Big thumbs up from me. In recent months has got some great UI updates. The main trade-offs with Start9, they do like a weird way to access all of your services on your node. So rather than it just going to like umbrel.local and then a port to access like your Lightning node or your Nextcloud or something, each of the Start9 services has like what looks like a local version of an onion address. So it's just like a load of gibberish .local, which generally speaking works okay. Like I've got a Mac that I use for work and for travel, and then it works okay on there. You have to do like some like certificate installations and stuff, which can be a bit of a barrier to some people.
Well, you don't have to do that. You can just something about a certificate. Do you want to continue? Just press OK.
Yeah, certain browsers just, if you ignore that, it just doesn't work. So on my Linux machine with Brave, like it just doesn't work very well. Like I have no end of headaches trying to access those services.
Works in Tor though. Tor browser works flawlessly.
Yeah, but then you've got the trade-offs of Tor being like I'm sat next to my node. I don't want to have to go through the Tor network to access
Fair
it.
enough.
So
yeah.
That's the main trade-off with Start9. I believe that they're making a big change to the way you access the services in an upcoming release that's going to have an improvement to what I've just said, but also to remote access as well. So as well as obviously, default Tor access. I think they're being pretty cagey about how they're going to do it, but I believe it's going to be some kind of personal VPN solution where you can kind of tunnel back into your node where you don't have to worry about the latency of the Tor network. So I'm looking forward to that. But right now, that's my main gripe with Start9 is like it's difficult to access on some browsers, especially with my Linux machine. He also mentioned Ronin Dojo. The main trade-off for me is no Lightning. If you're not bothered about Lightning, Ronin Dojo is a great option. But if you do want to mess around with the Lightning Network side of things, then that feature just isn't there. So it might not be for you.
Yeah. The other thing.
Any comments?
Yeah, my comments would be Umbrel still the easiest, but not open source, so wouldn't be the one that I'd recommend, but it is fucking easy and it does just work. Start9, I've been really, really impressed with. I've had no issues with it. It's been very stable. Part of that is probably down to the hardware, but so far I'm really impressed. Ronin Dojo, obviously fucking amazing team. Put a huge amount of effort into making this very privacy and security focused. They're looking to change to x86, so people will be able to run this on an old laptop or something like that. I think it's actually possible now, but I think that's the way that they're going to go. There was some blog post on it, which I didn't read, but I think that's the gist of it. Yeah, all good options for different types of people. I run Dojo and Start9 and Umbrel. Start9's currently my go-to.
Yeah, likewise. Okay, next question is from Smoke on Twitter. A state of play with silent payments, interim band-aid, or does it have some legs long term? Okay, so state of play, to my knowledge, the only wallet that has the functionality is Cake Wallet, which we spoke about last month. If you want more details, go and check that show out. I think there's a couple of other wallets working on it, but right now it would have to just be Cake Wallet to Cake Wallet. Obviously not great, but all of these kind of new innovations always start out like that, and there's some slow adoption. Is it an interim band-aid or does it have some legs? I think it's got legs. It seems to make a good balance of fixing some of the trade-offs with other reusable payment code solutions that we've had. And seems to be kind of well liked by most of the technical community. But again, that's just conjecture. I don't know for sure, but I would say the future is fairly bright, and it seems to be slowly growing in adoption. But as I say, the all-important thing here is end-user wallet adoption. So Cake are leading the way there, and I can't think off the top of my head of any other wallets that... Blue Wallet you can send. We talked about Blue Wallet literally like an hour ago on this very show. You can now send to silent payment addresses. Send only, not receive, by the way, but it's a start.
Yeah, got to start somewhere.
Another one from Smoke. He actually sent a couple of questions in, the greedy boy. Cake and Stack Duo, are they serious contenders in the mobile wallet market? Again, I would refer you back to last month's show where we spoke at length about both of these wallets. Are they serious contenders? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
They are two of the wallets that are leading the way in terms of Bitcoin privacy at the moment. Stack Duo is already pioneering Frost Multisig. They're the first ones to do it. They also have, they have Bit47, right? Yeah, they got Bit47 in there as well for reusable payment codes. And as we've just alluded to, Cake is the first with silent payments as well. So yes, they are very much serious contenders in the mobile wallet. Don't get as much press as they deserve because they aren't. They don't speak to the purists because they're also
impure.
Have Monero. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, go back to the last episode, mate, because we covered it for like half an hour. We went into a lot of detail. But yeah, very good.
This is also from Smoke, why is Graphene always under constant FUD and physical attack? Calyx OS still a viable option? I don't know what constant FUD you're referring to be honest with you. Yeah, from everybody that I know, Graphene is well thought of. Basically, on Bitcoin Twitter, if you're not an iPhone maximalist, then you pretty much run Graphene OS. So yeah, sorry, I'm not sure about the FUD.
Or
I guess
Calyx.
He could be.
Calyx is all right.
Calyx is okay. I haven't run it for a couple of years. For me, Graphene has come on far enough that it's more than capable as a daily, even with all of the security hardening at the OS level that Calyx doesn't have. So I'm just like, well, why would I run Calyx OS when Graphene is more secure? 1 sec, I think there's somebody at my door, mate. Yeah, there is. It's the postman. Sorry, 1 sec. Hey, mate. You can leave this in the show and mention that we just had to cut because the postman arrived.
Yeah.
I had just had a parcel delivered, which is for... I ordered this a couple of days ago because I'm going on stage to do a panel in Nashville about multisig. And I'll send you a picture of it afterwards. I've ordered a face mask because obviously I want to cover up to maintain a little bit of privacy, put some sunglasses on. That's got the Q&A robot on it. It's come out really well. I'm really happy with it. I'll send you a picture of it. So I'm going to have that, my foundation hat and some sunglasses on when I'm on stage. So sorry for the interruption. Where were we?
That's all right. We were at... Why would you use Calyx when you can use Graphene? Agree. I still use Calyx on one of my NIM phones.
Oh, interesting.
Just literally because I haven't had time to switch it back to Graphene, and it does the job I need it to do, and it's pretty good, and I like it, and it's fine. One thing I do notice with it, and I don't know if I'd have this with Graphene, is one of the phones I run is an iPhone. When I'm trying to write a message or type, I am probably 3 to 4 times faster with an iPhone than I am on Calyx. And I don't know if that is just something to do with the software that's on there or what it is, but it's horrendous. Like, I fucking hate typing on it. I don't know if it's the same on Graphene.
It's not just you. Are you using the default keyboard?
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah, the default keyboard is fucking awful. It's the same on Graphene.
Is it?
Just download, I know this sounds weird, but hear me out. Download Gboard, the Google keyboard, and then just turn off at the OS level all of the internet connectivity on it. So much better.
Okay, fine. Because yeah, it's just horrendous trying to type on that thing. That's a good tip. Top tip.
Yeah, very good. There is an open source one that you can install and customize called, I think it's like Any Soft Keyboard or something like that.
Just seen your fucking thing come through.
Oh, you've seen it? This came out really well, right? The mask.
That's really good. It's a really gay mask, though. I thought you were going to go for like a balaclava or something, but it's like a proper little cuck mask.
Well, do you know what my backup was if these masks didn't turn up in time for? Is the the balaclavas we got when we went go-karting?
Yeah.
I was going to wear that.
Yeah, nice. Very cool though, I like that.
So keep an eye out for that. Where are we next? Final one from Smoke. If you guys find it suitable, any future thoughts on giving credence to XMR's better digital cash than BTC and the need to advocate for the latter as much as the former when onboarding pre-coiners? Both need each other to survive at the street level. I'll let you handle this one first and foremost.
I think we do cover both of them. They both have their place. It depends what somebody wants and needs, and I'm kind of finding at the moment that a mix is pretty useful. I'm still way more dominant, use Bitcoin way more than I use Monero, but I just sort of see Monero as a very useful tool at times, and I'm not such a purist that matters to me. I just use what I think is most important. I think getting like new onboarding pre-coiners in, I think you're just going to have very different types of people coming in. Someone who comes straight into Monero is likely going to be a very different type of person than someone who comes straight into Bitcoin. That's my view on it anyway. And I don't think that's a bad thing. They're different tools for different things.
I agree. I was going to say that like most of the people that I kind of onboard, they are looking for an investment vehicle, whether we like that or not. That's the reason most people come in. So that, I'm obviously going to continue to recommend Bitcoin. Generally speaking, the people that kind of have the need for quote unquote digital cash already probably don't need white pilling on Monero. They already know about it and they already use it.
Yes.
So maybe that's just my naive view of the world or the circles that I kind of, or the people I'm onboarding. But most people don't care about privacy, unfortunately. They probably heard of Monero and think of it as the kind of, I don't know, the darknet market or the drug money or something like that, which is obviously complete bullshit, but it just doesn't, the use case doesn't speak to most people. Well, it's not complete
bullshit. It is
heavily
used, and that's not a bad thing. If you want some lovely, tasty drugs, you probably would be better off using Monero than Bitcoin.
Yeah, 100%.
Even if
what
you
I meant
know
was
what
like
you're doing.
what I meant was like the pure purpose of the coin.
Yeah, I get you. It's just, different people. And I think what we've seen is a lot of people will come in for the investment side and then they'll stay for other reasons. And so then they might listen to a show like this and go, okay, I like my Bitcoin stuff. I'm starting to use this. This isn't just to preserve my wealth, stop the state from stealing everything from me. Now I'm interested in it. Okay, well, what's this other thing? And I think that will probably happen more often than sitting down with a normal person just going, hey, do you want to be private? And people are like, no, why would I care about that? Like, it's a much easier sell to say, have you noticed that all the prices are going up on everything, and like living your life, especially when you have a family, is becoming almost fucking impossible. And everyone's like, yeah, I have noticed that. I'm really fucking tired. I'm working 2 jobs. Okay, let me tell you about this thing that will make your life a little bit easier. That's an easier sell.
Completely agree. And I misspoke earlier. That wasn't the final question from Smoke. This is the final question from Smoke.
Okay.
Any workaround for Orbot, in brackets, it's shit. Yes, you're absolutely right. It is shit. For connecting Blue Wallet and Cake to a node via Start9, Tailscale or WireGuard. Both of those would probably work. Obviously, most of the node implementations nowadays have Tailscale or WireGuard solution. Unfortunately, Start9 doesn't. That was another one of my kind of main gripes with it. But something like that would work, where you'd have like a personal VPN on your phone and also on your node itself, such that, whenever you want to interact with Blue Wallet or Cake, rather than routing all that through a default Onion server or multiple Onion servers, you just turn on your Tailscale VPN, which would route all your traffic back through your home network, and then you'd be able to access it as if you were at home. So good solution. And I use that for one of my nodes as well. It's a great alternative to Tor, especially if Tor's having a bit of a shit time. Next one comes from Richard on Twitter. Will we use Xiaomi and eCash in online payments, or how will this instrument move this ecosystem forward? I fucking hope not.
Covered it heavily last month, I think.
Yeah, I hope not. I want online payments to be self-custodial. Mm-hmm. Yes, obviously that has its challenges, especially in terms of scaling, but I don't think that running to custodial solutions is the answer. So Short answer is yeah, I hope not. Carter XMR, also on Twitter, opinions on Octojoin. So again, Carter, this is the first time I'm clicking this link, so I apologise that I...
Oh, you've just been hacked.
Huh?
Just clicking an unknown link.
Oh, right, I see. So it looks like PayJoin with no interaction between sender and recipient. Oh, it's by Floppy Disk Guy, who I saw having a mental breakdown on Nostr a couple of nights ago.
Who's Floppy Disk Guy?
I don't know, he just goes by Floppy. He's a developer that's wildly, let's say, loose on social media.
Okay.
Shouldn't Nostr after a few beers, let's put it that way. Looks like it's a new PayJoin solution. I'm not going to sit here and read it because it's a very long document that's pretty technical, so apologies for not being prepared with this one. All I would say is I remain pretty skeptical for a new PayJoin solution or a suggestion of a new PayJoin solution.
Okay.
We'll come back next week with more on that. Carter XMR, apologies for failing you, sir. Drinkor on Twitter, best self-build OS BTC node. I really want to use Umbrella. Autocorrect is fucked in there, hasn't it? But they are not open source, so fuck them. Also, Start9 don't recommend Raspberry Pis for running Bitcoin because you'll have a bad time.
You have a bad time no matter what you run because they're underpowered, they're shit. Just don't start looking for something that's suggested, oh yeah, you can run this on a Pi. No, don't do it.
Yeah. To end his question, he said, why? I presume most used a Raspberry Pi. So yeah, in recent years, most people have used a Raspberry Pi because before, or in the early days of Lightning where most people didn't use it, and before the days where these node packages threw lots of services in there, then Raspberry Pis, and before the blockchain continued to grow to a size that, made it take longer and longer to download and verify, Raspberry Pis were fairly capable of doing a basic initial block download and verifying all of the history and then keeping up with the chain. All of these nodes are far more advanced now. We have the Lightning Network, which takes a lot more kind of computational power. The chain has grown. These nodes just do more. So you just need beefier hardware to be able to cope with that. Raspberry Pis are great for kind of learning and hacking around, but they're not real computers. So if you want to do anything other than just an initial block download and using Bitcoin Core to verify your own transactions, then you need to do it on some proper hardware.
Yeah.
And he's asking for a recommendation here. I think we've kind of already given it, but it would be a Start9 at the moment on a kind of mini desktop. They do sell their own hardware. It is pretty pricey. You could build it yourself for cheaper. It's really easy to install the software onto any computer. Even Mac can do it. So that tells you a lot.
Not any computer, because actually my first attempt was on an old laptop and it wouldn't run. There was it wasn't supported for whatever reason. So not any, but I think you can go on and is almost everything. You go on and check with their community anyway. And the nice thing about doing it on an old laptop is you have the built-in battery as well. So if it was to you were to have a power cut or something like that, it's still going to run. So that's kind of nice. Yeah,
but if you are in the market and you need some hardware for this, I like the kind of Intel NUC mini desktops. Relatively inexpensive. You don't need a mega processor. You can just get an i5 processor as long as it's got probably keep it to 8 to 16 gigs of RAM. Put a couple of terabyte hard drive in there. Throw Start9 on it, and that will keep you going stable for years to come.
Yeah, I've got to upgrade mine actually because I've only got a terabyte in there.
Same here. Yeah, I just spun it up on a whim and only had a terabyte hard drive, so I need to do the same as well.
So what would you do? You would do a backup and then you would replace the hard drive with 2 terabyte and then use that backup to put onto the new...
Exactly.
You just do it like that and it should
all
work.
Possible within the UI on Start9 and shouldn't take you all that long.
Cool.
Anon on Nostr. Thoughts? Oh, apologies, I've missed one out. Crypto Wolf on Nostr. Connecting to your own node over Tor with Android without having to wait 48 hours for the connection to establish. Yeah, so he's referring to Tor, which in my opinion hasn't been that bad. Like my core Lightning node runs exclusively over Tor and I connect to it via Zeus and it seems okay. So maybe you're running on underpowered hardware. But with that said, maybe you're in a part of the world where Tor is shitter than usual. The answer, we've already spoke about it. Look into Tailscale or a WireGuard solution. There's plenty of guides out there. If you run something like a MyNode or an Umbrel, they have this pre-packaged in there and it's super simple to just turn on the Tailscale app, install the Tailscale app on your phone, and it's essentially your own private VPN tunnel back to your house. And on Nostr, Thoughts on what should be stored with each signer of a multisig wallet and why? Also testing multisig backups from Anon. Not sure what the second bit is. Maybe I've copied and pasted that wrong, but we've got the gist of the question anyway. Anon, what should be stored with each signer of a multisig wallet and why? Okay, so if it was me, let's use the 2 or 3 example. 3 keys or hardware wallets used to create the wallet, 2 of which need to sign. Obviously, I'd have a seed word backup for all of those hardware wallets stamped into steel so that it's fire, water, etc. resistant. And with each of those seed word backups, I would keep 2 things. Number 1, a printed copy of the descriptor for the wallet, which is kind of like the structure of the wallet itself. So it contains details of all of the public keys so that you can kind of throw that descriptor into another wallet in the future, like another piece of wallet software like Bitcoin Core, Sparrow, Spectre, etc. And you'd be able to have view-only access to the wallet. So I keep a printed copy, maybe laminate it with each of those seed word backups. And I would also keep a digital version of the Sparrow wallet backup file, which basically contains the same kind of information. It has your descriptor so that you can recreate view-only access to the multisig wallet. The crucial part, or the crucial difference here between that and the printed version is, number 1, it's digital. So it's just another type of format that might be resistant to other types of, vulnerabilities. But also the Sparrow wallet backup file has all of your metadata, so your notes, your accounts, that sort of stuff. So all that nice to have stuff that, if you're a privacy nerd like me and Max, then is important to you because you want to take your labels or be able to recover your labels in the future. And also it just makes things much easier in the future, that if you know you're going to continue to use Sparrow for quite some time, you have another option that's kind of Sparrow native, that rather than manually having to like scan descriptors or copy and paste them, or if you're like Max, manually type them in, you could just load the new instance of Sparrow.
Only once.
You could just load a Sparrow backup file into a new instance in the future if you need to use this as a recovery method. And it's just like super simple, super quick, and everything's restored straight away. So 1 copy of that with each of the seed word backups as well. Okay, next question. Sai on Nostr. What's the easiest way to run a Nostr relay? Can't speak from experience. I don't run one, but I believe Start9, Umbrella, all of the kind of all-in-one node boxes all have an application on there. So maybe give that a test. Tony Sly on Nostr. Why can't Max be bothered to generate Nostr keys?
Good question, mate. As we've covered earlier, I am going to bother. I'm about to have more time. It's one of the things on my list. You finally got me. Fucking well done.
Solex on Nostr. Do you want to read this one in Solex's voice, Max?
Do you guys drink coffee black? And is that the reason black coffee is missing? ?
Borat, is that you?
Oh, like we've actually had a drink of him.
Possibly.
Yeah, we drink it black. We wouldn't go that close to him. He's a very strange guy.
He's a very strange guy.
Extremely weird.
Yeah, he's still around.
Yeah?
He's just working away, hacking away.
Always hacking away. Always doing something. 3D printing, writing code, building websites, all sorts of stuff all the time, that guy.
He is a bit of a jack of all trades. He seems to be able to turn his hand at anything, that guy.
He does.
Okay, final question is from Darren on Nostr. Should anyone... you'll like this one. I've already responded to this guy, by the way, but I said I'd cover it on the show. Should anyone pull equity out of their home and put it into Bitcoin? What's the anticipated return on investment if Bitcoin is purchased today? Max?
You're the chart guy, mate. I guess I can try and cover this.
Well, before you do, let me tell you what I wrote back to him on Nostr.
Go on.
Please, for the love of God, no.
I don't know.
Oh, God.
I did it.
Oh, God.
Over the last few years, I've been very reckless, very, very reckless, done all sorts of things that any financial advisor would tell you absolutely fucking never do it. Most of them have paid off. Do your own research. It's your own fucking life. Maybe be a bit more cautious, especially if you have a family and maybe if you're a bit older. If you're younger and you think, well, I'll take the risk and roll the dice and I can rebuild and I've got a good job and I can sort things out if things go wrong, maybe do it. Your decision, mate. What is the ROI if Bitcoin is purchased today? We're going to go up exactly 1,600% within the next 24 months. So
That'd be nice.
it's exactly what we're going to do. I've looked at the charts, mate. I looked on Glassnode. I've looked at the on-chain data. I know what's going to happen. So yeah, absolutely do it. Mortgage yourself up to the hilt, mate. You'll be fine.
So just in case you didn't get the sarcasm there, please be very careful doing this sort of shit. I draw a pretty hard line on this sort of stuff. We live in, and I don't want to end on a doom a bit here, but
here we are.
we live in very uncertain times. You might have a good job now, but you don't know how long you're going to have that job. If you've got a family, it's even more reckless. What I would say is have a think about you being in this situation. You take 25 grand worth of debt, the interest rates, I don't know what a loan interest rate is these days, but it's probably going to be like 10, 15%. I think it's higher than that, to be honest. But yeah, even if it's 8%, you lose your job, you've got no income, you've got a family to feed, and you have to tell your wife that you're £25,000 in the hole because you have to now service these loan payments and you've got no income and you can't put food on the table. And Bitcoin tanks 40%.
And then you need to sell because you're desperate for money to pay the bills, and it's
and you
dumping.
Still can't sell. Yeah, it's dumped, so you still can't sell and cover the loan. So now you've got no Bitcoin, and you still got to service the loan. Not worth the risk.
And your wife's fucking spewing at you, and
she's going to leave you.
Oh, can I have a pony? Can I have a pony? You're like, you'd be lucky if you get fucking fed. All right, it's not fun.
Yeah, stay humble.
From personal experience, it's actually not fun.
That brings me to the end of the questions, mate. Any other business before I have to run off and get my hair cut?
I don't think so, mate. I think that covers everything. Be careful, people. Don't get all overexcited with the chart boys. Just don't be a fucking retard. And whatever you put into Bitcoin, expect that it can half or go down 80%. It can do that at any time. Just, be a little bit careful.
I will end on see you in Nashville. If you come in, please stop by the Foundation booth. And as always, free samurai.
Free samurai. Thanks for listening. I really hope you enjoyed that. If you get value from this show, please do consider sharing this with friends or family. It all helps us grow. And if you haven't yet checked out ungovernablemisfits.com, go and have a look. We've got articles, we've got podcasts, clothing, artwork, and much more. If you have any questions about the topics we've discussed, or you have any other topics you'd like us to cover, you can boost us, you can tweet us, I think you can Nostr us, but you have to do that through Q&A because I can't be asked. Catch you on the next one.